it to a Sunday night, whether I'm working on a Monday or not. Oh, you filming it? Oh my gosh. You're filming me moaning. I just don't know if I'm working. This is some workings. Islington. Clay's. Oh. Head. Wizards.
Wizardess.
Of 1009. That's an infinity sign, isn't it? Acne is.
Acne is.
Right.
So there we go.
13? Or is that you? Will. Lunatic, is it?
No. It's a big ER in the middle, so something Will Wilmersley.
Where's Wilmersley?
Where's Wilmersley?
I think I'd live in Wilmersley than Willersley.
No, it's definitely Wilmersley.
It's a different place.
So a different
place.
Is
it in London?
It's here. No, this is a different box.
It's a different reality.
Here.
It's a different infinity and beyond. What's
Ford.
that?
Hereford.
Hereford.
So Wilmersley, here's Ford. Hereford.
Spelled nicely. I like it. H's are like, that's quite interesting. Biscuits. Hello everyone, and welcome to Weekly Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you for joining me today, November 13th, 2019, as we take a look at the astrological energies over the next week or so, dive into this Mercury retrograde energies that are really quite beautiful and dynamic. And I also have to share with you today some intuitive messages and visuals I've been receiving about the ending of this year and the ending of this decade. And I hope that these messages are further confirmation for you of what you've also been feeling and sensing about your journey. I hope it helps you understand why this decade has been so big at an individual level as well as a collective level. And I hope it helps affirm where you are called to go next, where your energy is being inspired to move forward, to voyage into a new path, and to trust that there are good things happening now. There are good things happening now. And it is our responsibility to not allow the weight of the world or dense energies or heavy patterns to be too much of a weight or an anchor. We are meant to remember that we are limitless. We are open. We are filled with possibilities and potentials, and to not be locked into the human experience too much. Yes, our energy is being called there regularly. Yes, this is where we live. We live on this planet. We live in these human suits. We have our human minds and our human egos and our human emotions. But there's meant to also be a big reminder of your vastness, of the joy of this journey, of where you can tap into a place of gratitude, a place of happiness for what you are learning, for how far you've come, how much you've healed. This is really important right now because we are more alive than ever before. And what I mean by that is that after this 11/11 portal and the Taurus full moon on November 12th, I started seeing some new energies that I would describe as light codes. Now, light codes are essentially the rays of energy, the rays of light that come from the sun that are known as neutrinos. And these are similar to snowflakes. Just as the snow falls and every snowflake is different, every light that comes in is a light code or a light flake, if you will. And it has its own design, pattern, energy. And I'm feeling like there are these new light codes coming in that are meant to revitalize us, that are meant to lift us up out of the domains of our humanness and to reconnect us to our unlimited energy field. It's like that vastness of the cosmos, that reminder that the sun's rays are healing, are warmth, are energizing, are nourishing us, and that these light codes will warm you up internally. And I'm seeing it as that light in the solar plexus, that fire that burns. And we must tend to that fire, and we must tend to the energy of life that sustains us. And so we're moving through very big energies, yes, and we're moving into a very big decade, yes. But you are here with the ability to make the right decisions for yourself, to trust yourself, to follow your joy, to move into this next time in your life, whether you look at it as the energy or the next decade or wherever you feel the energy speaks to you. There's a sense here of a cleansing, of a very deep cleansing that has removed a lot of karma, that's removed a lot of areas in the ego that were limiting you, the false ego. And I see it related to the karmic cycles, the karmic patterns, the karmic energies, where essentially you were unconscious about something in your life, or you were unaware, or you just didn't know perhaps everything that was involved. Things were veiled, there were hidden people, or there were hidden motives. There's this removal that's been happening that has basically brought you back to your own light, to your own place of truth in who you are. And this is a self-contained energy, a self-contained energy within you that you are reconnecting to and re-meeting for the first time, or perhaps it could feel like you've been disconnected from this part of yourself for many lifetimes. But this is an understanding that everything that has been completed, removed, finished, it's really for your best and highest good, even though it doesn't feel that way to the ego or to the heart or to the mind. You are being asked to go deeper, to find the gold within. And this directly relates to the Mercury retrograde energies of right now. We have one more week of Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, where Mercury will go back to 11 degrees of Scorpio. Now, at this time, as I'm doing this podcast live, Mercury retrograde is at 16 degrees of Scorpio, making an exact sextile to Saturn at 16 degrees of Capricorn, and trining Neptune at 15 degrees, 58 minutes, Pisces retrograde. Scorpio is receiving strength from Capricorn and Pisces energies right now. And this is showing up in this Mercury retrograde that's allowing your mind to be reprogrammed, reworked, to have new perceptions, understand higher concepts, to understand where you've been locked in to any power battles or control issues that are draining you, exhausting you, wearing you out. This is a mental reprieve. This is stepping back from your own mind, stepping out of your own mind, and looking up to, it's like I'm seeing looking up to the sun, but then looking up to understand the soul's perspective of it all. This is a very powerful time right now because not only is this Mercury harmoniously connecting with Saturn and Neptune, but the Sun in Scorpio is at 20 degrees, approaching a beautiful sextile to Pluto at 21 degrees of Capricorn, also receiving strength and grounding and an understanding of where your power is right now. And I feel this as a very interesting new sense of power that's within you, not outside of you. And I'm actually feeling it in the structure of the body as the bones in the body being rejuvenated with new strength. Now, that isn't simply through calcium, but it's through an energetic infusion within you, that's understanding what it means to walk in the world with a true sense of who you are, and you no longer compromise what you want, what you need, how you feel, what's important to you. There's this changeover in what it means to be strong in your physical self, in your body, in your breath. I'm feeling the lungs. I'm feeling, again, the energy of safe to be in your power in a whole new way. The Scorpio energies at an unconscious level perceive danger, threats, and attacks everywhere. And we move through the Scorpio journey, rising in our consciousness, rising in our sense of power, rising in our emotional journey, our emotional consciousness, to understand that how you responsibly use your energy is what makes you powerful. And so the Scorpio energy can sting out of defense, out of an attack or a perceived attack, out of control, out of a desire to not share, and on it goes. And the journey through Scorpio, especially the sun in Scorpio, is to remind you that you're bigger than that, you're more than that, you're meant to rise above these patterns that have been based on fight or flight, fear, that have been based on unconscious programming that you could have absorbed from others or you could have been carrying through lifetime. And so the Scorpio energy can certainly mature emotionally. It can mature through its understanding of self, through its understanding of looking at itself in the mirror instead of looking at other people. There can be a lot of jealousy, a lot of comparison with the unconscious Scorpio. But the Scorpio energy rises in its true power by claiming a new understanding of itself, of how it is loved, of how it is valued, of how it is accepted, and of how it can use its own magic to make something new, to make something beautiful. And that's the Scorpio journey. It is a very intense one, emotionally intense. And I've described it before as the Scorpio energy being a hot tub. And that's because Scorpio is a water sign and it's a fixed water sign. Fixed meaning it doesn't change, it doesn't budge, it just can swirl. And so it swirls in a passion, a desire, and an ambition. But that hot tub can get very murky and dirty if it isn't cleansed, if it isn't purged, if the water doesn't drain out or be filtered out. So this pertains to our emotional needs where you are holding on to rage, comparison, jealousy, resentment, anger, pain, and how you're taking responsibility for filtering it and moving it through. And this can be uncomfortable, it's intense, it can involve the dark night of the soul, and it typically is going into areas of yourself that you haven't wanted to see before. And yet, there's no other way out. You know, there's only through the tunnel. That's the way out, is through the tunnel, and at the end of the tunnel is the light. So there's an understanding of your strength as you move through some of these parts of yourself that perhaps you haven't seen before or you didn't want to see before, because that's another part of that Scorpio fixed energy, is that it might not see itself and how it's showing up in the world. Instead, it stays fixed on a pattern that ultimately is detrimental and creates these ongoing emotional loops. So there's a lot of intensity with this energy. But I also feel that there can be a deep desire to rise up and to move through it. And that is so supported right now as we have this Mercury retrograde energy working so beautifully with outer planets and the sun working powerfully with Pluto. This is really an important time this next week because there's energy here that's going to surge you through where you've been stuck. And I'm seeing it as that power surge to push you through where you've been not only stuck, but in these loops that have prevented you from taking responsibility for all of your energy and all of your experiences. And now this pertains to the bigger energies of this past decade. So we embarked on a really big journey over the past 10 years that you were meant to see parts of yourself that you didn't realize you were carrying, that were walking with you. The shadow energies, the ego energies, the emotional patterns, the mental loops. It's like there were things that we were meant to see in ourselves. And this decade has ultimately been a gift from the universe, God, Source, Spirit. It has been a time of revealing to you more of who you are through the experiences of your life, more of what you want by understanding what you don't want. Came in 2008 when Pluto went into Capricorn. Now, this was a big time globally with the changes in the financial markets, the mortgage industry, the insurance industry, a lot of big changes in these institutions and structures, which is what Capricorn rules. And Pluto is going to stay in Capricorn until 2025. So over this span of